In this video, I'll be showing you how to place a left front CV axle assembly on a Nissan Maxima. It is located behind the left front wheel. Let's get started. Now let's go ahead and remove our front wheel using a 21mm socket. Now with our wheel out of the way, I'm going to locate my brake caliper and brake caliper bracket. I'm going to remove the two bracket bolts, which are 22mm. Break them loose first. Keep a hand on the caliper during removal of this last bolt so it does not fall. Now set the bolts aside. Now I'm going to place a hanger around the top slider pin of the caliper and hang it on the strut spring. Now to remove our rotor. If it's stuck on, you could strike it with a rubber mallet. In our case, just pull it off. Now we're going to move on to the side of the knuckle to locate our ABS wheel speed sensor. It's held down by a 10mm bolt. We're going to go ahead and remove that first. Now work the sensor free and remove it from the knuckle. Quick inspection and set it aside. Now let's move on to our wheel hub. We're going to locate our axle cotter pin, washer, and nuts. I'm going to remove the cotter pin using some cutting pliers. I'm going to pry the leg of the cotter pin out and finish removing it with my pliers. I'm going to grab the head and pry up. Dispose of this properly. Now remove the washer. And now we have access to our axle nut. I'm going to remove it using a 32mm socket. Now on the outer face of this axle, I'm going to strike it using a center punch. This is to ensure we have movement of our parts before we go on any further. Let's put our center punch in here and strike it. As you can see, we have movement from our axle. Now let's move on up the knuckle. We're going to find our strut mounting location and these two bolts. I'm going to support one side with a wrench and remove the other side with a socket. On our top bolt, the nut side is a 18mm and the bolt side is a 15mm. I'm going to support our bottom bolt with a 21mm. And on the other side, a 21mm socket. Hold the knuckle while you remove the bolt. Set them aside. Now pull the knuckle forward and remove the axle from the hub. Push the axle in. And set the axle aside. I'm using a slide hammer with an attachment to remove it. Place the slide hammer on the edge of the axle and strike it off. Now before you remove the axle, place a collection receptacle under the transmission just in case any fluid leaks out. And slide the axle out. Now to install our axle. Insert it into the transmission. Once it's lined up, strike the outer axle shaft with a rubber mallet. Strike it until the axle fully seats in the transmission. As you can see, now it's fully seated in the transmission. Now I'm going to apply some lubricant to my axle splines. Now I'm going to insert our axle into the knuckle. Align the splines and push in. Now push the knuckle onto the lower strut mounting position. Now insert your mounting bolts. Quick note, these are different sizes, but from the manufacturer they come as the same size, but that is due to us adding our camber adjustment bolt. Now snug these down with a socket on one side and a wrench on the other side. Now let's torque these both down to 103 foot-pounds. Now let's install our wheel speed sensor. Bring it in place and put it in the knuckle. Now hand through on your 10mm bolts. Now just snug it down. Now we're going to prep our hub mating surface with a wire brush. Now we're going to spray some anti-seize on our hub. Now slide the rotor in place. And I'm going to hand thread on one of our lug nuts so the rotor stays in place when we reinstall our brake caliper. Now remove your brake caliper from the strut. And remove your hanger. Slide it over the brake rotor. Now hand thread on your two 22mm bolts. Now snug them down. Now we're going to torque both of these down to 107 foot-pounds. Now remove your lug nut. Now hand thread on your axle nut. Now we're going to snug it down using our 32mm socket. I'm going to place a pry bar between our wheel studs so the axle does not spin. I'm going to place it here, ensuring it's secure on the ground. Now let's torque it down to 135 foot-pounds. Now install your Newcastle washer. Ensure we have access to our cotter pin hole. And now install your cotter pin. Tap it in if it does not go in fully. Now bend the cotter pin ears out. You could also use a hammer. Now let's install our wheel. I'm going to install my 5 21mm lug nuts. Now we're going to torque these lug nuts to 83 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.